Hey there, I'm Trevor Houston, the creator of the Who You Know Summit, and I'd like to welcome you to the Who You Know Job Networking Show.
On our program, we'd like to show you a job search like you've never seen.
Everything from getting noticed by employers, how to properly format your resume, and how to network effectively using LinkedIn to drive recruiters to your profile.
We even take suggestions from our amazing community.
So if you want to learn all things job search, go ahead and subscribe now.
Focus! It's all about the job search. So if you want to learn how to land that next success, you heard them. All you got to do is subscribe and ring that bell so you don't miss out on a thing. Welcome to the Who You Know Job Networking Show, where what you know is important, but
Who you know? Who you know can make all the difference in your job search.
It definitely can. And guess what? Today we've been having some technical difficulties.
Yeah, we've been under attack.
Oh my goodness.
Feels like it.
Our summit, right? The power went out. How crazy was that? We were in our summit live, had a big old audience with us, and literally like, what? So that happened today. And literally right now as we do this show, we are pre-recording because check this out. I got a live audience online with me right now commenting, but guess what? We're not live because there's some kind of technical difficulties going on.
Feed issues.
We'll figure it out. But hey, the show must go on. So we're going to pre-record this episode and we're going to get it out to you, to our audience. So we appreciate you being with us. I do want to give some shout outs to the people that are waiting for the show
right
now who are live, but they're not going to see this right now. They'll see it later.
This is so funny.
Let's give some shout outs to, we got Lori West, Douglas Bernal, Chet Borjarski, Meg Rose, our hype lady, Achille Varchario.
Achille. It's probably Achille.
Achille?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Suzanne Carter. We got Hope Azen, Hope Magida. Hey, we got Krista Kirshner.
Jason Hopper.
Andrew Waters. Hey, Andrew, we saw her this morning too.
Kat O'Toole. This is just awesome. So, guys, I want you to all to know we appreciate you. You're in the event right now. You're commenting live on the page. But we'll get to you when we get to you. All right, guys. We also want to bless the show with a prayer for the listeners. I do have some kind of sad news for those of you that haven't already heard. My head pastor at Covenant Church, Pastor Ricky Tejada, has passed away, and he is he's now in heaven. He's with the Father, and so Tuesday was a sad day. So if you can all bow your heads with me real quick. Dear Lord, thank you so much for this amazing day. We appreciate every blessing, and we're just thankful for every breath that we get to live on this planet, and we appreciate you, and we're so thankful and grateful. Lord, I ask that you are with the Tejada family. I know they're going through a rough time right now, and the whole Covenant Church community. I want you to be with them and encourage them through this rough time. Lord, I also pray that no one leaves the church. Right, I know that a lot of times when a leader is taken, that people can kind of wander, and I pray that you help this moment bring people stronger and bring the community stronger together. So Lord, I pray all these things in your name. In Jesus' name I pray, amen.
Amen. All right. Yeah, that's a big loss, and I keep on pounding this table here. But very, very, sudden. It wasn't like, a long time. It was just a matter of a couple weeks. So guys, stay safe out there. Stay safe. So we have a lot to be thankful for, though, as well.
Got a lot of people who are now back to their cash flow.
Back to the flow. Let's get your cash flow guns ready. Let's give some props out to, who do you got?
I got Trish Christensen. We got Terry Miles. Who else you got?
We got Patty Dunn. Woo! Mike Nolting. Mike. Marlene Wenz. Our good friend Jennifer Bunch. And a big one just in today, Kathy Bukowski.
Woo!
Woo! Whoop, whoop.
And I also got James Whitfield.
That's a great story.
Yeah, so I got a quick testimonial I want to read from James Whitfield. He says, I've been unemployed for months, and he went through only the second rounds of interviews. He was ghosted and rejected, and he went to one of our webinars. He came through our summit, and he says he sent a video to the hiring manager. He said that afternoon, the recruiter called him to tell him that they gave the position to someone else. He said, but the hiring manager fought to add the spot, and they added a new position. And he says, I fully believe the video did the trick. So congratulations to James Whitfield and everyone else on the team.
Well, and that's the same with Karen. Real quick, she also sent a video. I mean, guys, these are things that are directly related to what they learned in the summit.
In the summit, yep.
So
100%.
Make sure that you guys, if you have not come to the summit, make sure that you register. There's a link in the description for this event.
Absolutely.
In the show.
Well, guys, without further delay, I want to bring up our guest. She's been super, super patient on the Zoom, waiting for us to figure out all these technical difficulties behind the scenes that we're going through today.
She's probably like, what
is wrong with these people?
What's the matter with these guys?
Yeah, these guys need to get their act together. Guys, I'm super excited. We've got Hala Taha, and she's the host of the Young and Profiting podcast, frequently ranked as #1 educational podcast across all apps. She's also the CEO of Yap Media, a full-service social media and podcasting marketing agency for top podcasters, celebrities, and CEOs, generating over $2 million in revenue in their first year. She's well known for her engaged following and influence on LinkedIn. And she landed January 2021 cover of Podcast Magazine. If everybody can please welcome Hala Taha.
All right. Yeah.
Uh-oh, you're muted. We can't hear you. More technical difficulties.
All right, unmute. Hey, guys. Happy to be here.
Ooh, hey.
Oh, my goodness. Well, we're
Hello.
super excited you're here. I know we've been dealing with the technical difficulties, but we're here. The show must go on, right?
Have you ever had, we can ask her that.
Yeah.
Have you ever had one of those days
Oh,
where
yeah.
you're doing a show?
Are you kidding me? 1 week I had 3 interviews, and all 3 of them were like a technical disaster, and I was like, I should just quit.
But you didn't.
No.
But you didn't.
No. Well, that's
the
the important part. So let me ask you this: what was your first show like? Was it a disaster, or was it like tell me about your first episode, very first episode of?
Actually, my first episode was a masterpiece.
Oh,
one of my favorite episodes. My first 3 episodes were really, really high level. I actually started my career in radio, so I came into this podcasting game with audio editing skills, with production skills, with experience and reps on the mic. And so actually, I never listened to podcasts before I started Young and Profiting. And I just got super creative, and I spent months on my first 3 episodes. And then I quickly realized that it wasn't sustainable, that I couldn't make these real, it was like had music, it had beds under everything. I narrated in between these interviews that I had chopped up, and actually had some of my favorite authors on those shows. So yeah, I decided to simplify things because I was working full time and I wanted to put out episodes more frequently. So actually my first podcast episode is great, and a lot of my fans still like to go listen to it.
Nice. So you had already had all that skill set coming in. Well, let me ask you this, because you're obviously a superstar in the podcasting world. What do you feel like your biggest gift is in all your success? What do you feel like your gift is, and when did you start to recognize it?
I think my biggest gift is being able to motivate teams.
Okay.
So I've been motivating teams, I feel like, my whole life. And I've been able to attract these really big teams. Even when I don't want a big team, I end up having a really big team. So for example, when I was right out of college, I started something called the Sorority of Hip Hop. And it was a platform for women to band together who were in the entertainment industry and blog. And we hosted parties, we had radio shows, we hosted concerts, and I had 50 girls who worked for me for free because they just believed in the dream. And then I worked at Hewlett Packard, and I was president of the Young Employee Network, and I recruited volunteers to work for that. Then I was president of my alumni association, and I recruited people to help me with that. And then by the time I started Young and Profiting Podcast, I had all this experience motivating and building teams. By episode 2, I had my first volunteer. And by episode 8, I had 10 volunteers in a Slack channel. And now we're a team of 63. Now everybody gets paid, but this is my first time that I'm actually able to pay my team. But it's not my first time running teams of 30, 40, 50, 60. Everybody used to work for free for me.
Dang. Hold on, that's on my drop.
Yeah, free 99.
Yes. So no, you're building community, right? You're building community, and you're getting people to volunteer, and you're getting people to buy into the vision. How are you doing that? That's pretty strong right there. I like that.
Well, I think it's about training people. So I have a lot of experience with marketing, with podcasting, with radio shows and blogging and writing. And so my exchange to them, they weren't just working for free for me with no value. My exchange to them was teaching them skills and giving them community and giving them a platform and giving them something to brag about. A lot of the people that have ended up working for me or interning for me are people who nobody else would give a chance to, and I gave them a chance. And then they were able to go move on in their journey and get the next opportunity because I was able to give them skills and experience and have them, and they were able to put me on their resume. So even though I wasn't paying them, like, you know, when I had Young and Profiting, we had internship programs in the beginning, volunteers who stayed around, you know, year round. And then we had interns who would come in and out, and we'd have like real intern programs, boot camps in the beginning, and make sure that people were trained. And then anytime now that we're actually monetizing, if somebody's providing value that I feel like is more like we're gaining more than they're receiving, then they should get paid. But until that happens, they work for free.
Have you had somebody that you have trained that you've been a leader for and help inspire them to be successful on their own? Has anybody gone on to create their own podcast or show or something like that and be successful there?
Well, a lot of my volunteers for Young and Profiting are now leading teams of 20, 30 and have quit their full-time jobs and get paid, you know, figures at Young and Profiting.
That's a mic drop right there.
I have Catherine Ponzi. She started as an intern and now she's my VP of social. She literally runs a team of 30. I have Timothy Tan, who owns 10% of Yap Media. He started as a volunteer. So yeah, there's a lot of people have become really successful. And then a lot of the girls, when I had the sorority of hip hop, have went on to be like singers and have their own shows and do their own thing. So yeah, 100%.
That's great.
Well, let's talk about, because I mean, we see all the success, and congrats on all of that, by the way. But it wasn't always like that, right? Because I know a little bit of your journey and your story. Talk to us about what it was like with Hot 97 and MTV and some of the rejection that you've gone along the way to get to where you're at today.
I always talk about this, that I have clawed my way to the top. Like nobody wanted me to be where I am today. Like I had to claw my way there. And even now I feel like there's some, like, for example, like LinkedIn, I'm one of the biggest influencers on LinkedIn. They only reached out to me like last week, like, you know, and they reached out, and it was my friends who have like maybe 1/5 of my following who were like, have you talked to Hala yet? Like you guys haven't reached out to Hala, you know? And so it was like after like 10 people had told them they need to reach out to me. So I always feel like I'm clawing my way to the top. I don't know what it is, but so yeah, I started my career at Hot 97. I worked for Angie Martinez when I was in college, when I was 19, and I worked there for 3 years for free. I was on the #1 radio show in New York. I was doing all the research. I was running the Delete boards. I was answering the phones. I was reading commercials. I was getting coffee. I was getting Angie hair products and nail polish and whatever they needed me to do. I was like their little road dog, you know, and I worked there for free for 3 years. I even dropped out of college for the opportunity. And I was so dedicated that I would come in at 2 a.m. because, you know, the radio station's 24 hours. So I would do all the really late night shifts as well. And I dedicated my life to it. And I was being primed to be a personality at the station. And part of the trade-off when you're the talent is that you have to pay your dues in radio. And so you have to actually, a lot of those people who you hear on air, on radio, have worked 5-10 years for free, just following the DJs and the on-air personalities around until they get their big break.
Yep.
And so 3 years into it, I just wanted to get paid minimum wage. My parents weren't happy that I had quit school, and I was, you know, hosting showcases with underground rappers at night to make money and selling all these like showcase tickets and doing all these like weird things like that to make a living. And my parents were like, you're so smart. Like you should at least get paid minimum wage. And it was true. I was training their interns and I just wasn't an actual employee. It was kind of messed up. And then, you know, a paid job opened up and I wanted the job. I was like, hey, I'm doing this job. They wanted me to actually train the person that they hired. And the day that I was supposed to train the person that they hired, I was like, hey, I don't feel good. and the guy was my friend. He was a little older than me. His name is Drewski. He's on the radio now. And I texted him and I was like, hey, he was one of my best friends. So keep that in mind. I was like, I don't feel good today. If you want to learn how to be the producer, like learn it on your own. I don't feel good today. I was depressed. I was sad. And he showed that to Angie, and Angie fired me. And Angie cut me off, and not only fired me, she didn't let me go get my stuff. I wasn't allowed to go to the station anymore. She told the DJs they weren't allowed to talk to me anymore. Nobody would answer my phone calls, and I was dead to everyone. And it was so mean. It was so mean.
You know
and
what?
Looking back, I'm like, wow, like you're so mean. When like, cause Angie is probably just when I worked there, she was probably just a few years older than me now, and I know how. And she was really successful, and she never gave me $1. And I babysat her kids. I did everything for her. And the way that I treat my interns and my employees, I'm like, damn, like she treated me like shit, you know? And so that was so hurtful. And I was devastated. I felt like somebody died. I felt like I gave up my life. I gave up my career. I gave up college.
Well, thank God. You know what? Thank God that thank God for unanswered prayers, right? Because look at you now, right? You know what I'm saying? And yeah, they treated you like crap, and now, like you know, and that's the way you're treating your team, is like you're doing the opposite. You're treating your team with respect, and wow.
Exactly.
So what motivated you to was that the catalyst that you went back to school and then you proceeded on, got your MBA, your advanced degrees?
Well, there was a whole thing that happened right after. So what happened is, like, literally I got fired on a Thursday. By Sunday, I had a new idea and I was already working on it. And it was called
Hold on.
Strawberry
Wait.
Rebound what?
Wait, that's a mic drop.
I had this idea. I was like, there has to be other girls that this is happening to, that they're not getting opportunities. They paid their dues. They're getting stepped on.
Hold on, Hala. Hold on. I do got to go back. Hold on. I hate to cut you off, but I got to go back. All right. So Thursday, they let you go. Sunday, you were on to a new idea, right?
On Sunday, I built a new website called the Sorority of Hip Hop StrawberryBlunt.com.
Okay. But in between, I just have to ask, in between Thursday and Sunday, what did that look like?
That's a great question. Thursday, I literally was like hysterically crying like somebody died. I was so sad. I was Hala from Hot 97. That's what everybody knew me as. I was the coolest 20-year-old ever. I was meeting celebrities every day. I met Jay-Z, Drake. I was dating Chris Brown at one point. I was hanging out at the coolest parties. I had VIP with everything. I was the coolest 20-year-old, you know? And like, so for me, it was like, man, my whole career is over. Everything's over. I thought that like my dream was to be on Hot 97. It's what I had dedicated 3 years of my life. I'm not lying. I used to go, I would work all day, and then I would come back at 2 a.m. and do like the worst job ever, and like be the only one in the station by myself, 20 years old. Like, that's dangerous. Like, I was doing like, I was really, really grinding, and then they slapped me in the face. So I was devastated. I just felt like, man, I feel so used, and everybody, all my family, like I was the black sheep of my family too. All my siblings were in med school, and here I was like trying to be like a radio personality working for free. And so I was like, my family hates me. I have no college. I don't even know if I could get back into college. I have no career. And my boss won't write me a recommendation. Nobody can even answer my calls. I technically didn't even work at Hot 97. I was like, what am I going to do?
So what? Okay. So from the moment where you're just devastated and you're just like broken and just,
yeah, where do you go?
Like, and then from what got you to that Sunday, like in between the Thursday to Sunday? Because the reason I'm asking these questions, there's a lot of these job seekers out here who are in that moment, in that transition period where they're still broken. There's still a loss going on in their you know, the identity. It's a loss. So
for some of them, it's like they're months at that.
Oh,
you're like this
you did
multi-day period,
days.
but they're like multi-month periods.
So what got you to Sunday?
You know what it is? It's like I was so used to rejection already. I was so used to it. It's like I feel like, you know, I grew up in middle school. That's when 9/11 happened for me. And then in high school, I never got any opportunities. So anything I tried out for, I was always rejected. It was only in college when I actually got opportunities. And so I think I built this really thick skin of being rejected. I've been rejected so many times in my life. Like, I had the best voice in school. They wouldn't even let me in the talent show. You know, I never got on the cheerleading team. I never got on the volleyball team. They wouldn't even let me in student council. Like, I literally never got any opportunities in high school. And college, much different. In college, I got everything that I wanted because it was a diverse school and I was treated equally, and it was just based on talent. In high school, it was like kind of like who you knew and, you know, what your parents did and all that kind of stuff. And also your nationality. I went to a very white school. I was like the only brown kid in school, and I had a weird name. And so, and at that time, like, people were really racist against Arabic people, really, really racist. And so I had a really thick skin. So by the time Hot 97 did that to me, I was really used to like having to get back on my feet. And, you know, I never get anything easy. The easiest thing that I ever got was the cover of Podcast Magazine. And I still can't believe that I got it. That was the only thing that anybody ever gave to me.
Wow.
And I could cry because it's like, I could cry about it because it's really like I've worked hard for every single thing.
Well, you are being rewarded, like no time for tears either, because you are being rewarded. Your accolades and everything that have brought you to here is by design, right? It's by design
100%.
that you have
I don't know why I got
here.
emotional. I just felt like so happy.
No,
Steve
thank you
Ulsher
for
got
that.
me on the cover of Podcast Magazine, and I felt so like happy. I just like felt such like gratitude for him.
No, that is real. That is real. And
Yeah,
I love
that is real.
I love it.
And we appreciate you.
Yeah.
And thanks for your vulnerability, right? And,
of course.
And
of course. Yeah. So anyway, by Sunday, I had a new idea, and I was
rocking. I'm over that. I'm on. Yeah, on to the next.
I was like, there's other girls that this is happening to, and I'm gonna show them. Nobody can blackball me from this industry. And so I started this thing called the Sorority of Hip Hop, strawberryblonde.com, and I put out. I had a decent Twitter following from Hot 97. I put out ads on Craigslist. And I said, hey, if you're a cute girl, if you want to learn how to blog, I'm going to teach you how to write. I'm going to teach you how to blog. Send me your picture. Tell me where you work. You have to work in the entertainment industry. And so I got girls from VH1. I got girls from Def Jam. I got girls from iHeart. I got girls who just wanted to learn how to blog. And I just sifted through these resumes. 2 weeks in, I had my first chapter meeting. I had 14 girls in a conference room and we started this thing called the Sorority of Hip Hop. 3 months into it, we were one of the biggest entertainment hip hop sites in the world. And we got scouted by MTV like 3 months into it. And what happened was I figured out how to hack Twitter. So every time we put out a blog, we would @ a celebrity like who was on the title of the headline, and it would pump out on Twitter. And then I had 50 girls tweeting it out. And then like Drake would retweet us, or these Soulja Boy would retweet us, and we blew up. And we were the first ones who did that. All the blogs do that now and did that afterwards, but we were the first ones to do that.
Dang.
And so
she found the hacks. She's like, I'm gonna get that Twitter hack. Mic drop.
Yeah. So we hacked Twitter, and then the sorority just grew. And then the same DJs, so Angie Martinez came crawling back. The same DJs who wouldn't pay me minimum wage were asking me to host parties with them. Now I was side by side on the flyers with Funkmaster Flex and DJ Camilo, hosting the hottest parties in New York, hosting concerts.
Success
and
is the best
basically
revenge.
Became an event business. Yeah, I became their peer. So I went from being intern to peer. And, Angie apologized, all that, because she was like, Hala might end up doing something with her life. And so she apologized. And I just kept it pushing. And I guess fast forward to the end of it, if we want to close out the Sorority of Hip Hop, probably 150 girls in and out of this sorority. Strong community. These girls are still friends with each other now. And at the end of it, so MTV scouted us at first. They did a really small pilot. It didn't work out, but it was 3 months in. So we're like, who cares? Like, what's going to happen next? I almost got on Love and Hip Hop 2 years into it. And at the same time, MTV approached me and was like, we want to give you your own show. And this time we're serious about it. And so they got us a studio on Broadway. They filmed us all summer. I got my hair and makeup done. It was right after Jersey Shore. So I literally thought I was going to be the next Snooki. And that's what I thought. I was like so excited. I was like, finally, I'm going to
You don't want to be the next Snooki, okay?
I
You
don't, but at the time
no.
I did. I was 26 years old, and I was down to be like, Snooki was hot in terms of like how much money she was making, and like they were the hottest thing. And I was like, hell yeah, I want that Snooki money. And I was into it, and I was the lead. I was getting paid twice as, I think 3 times as much as everybody else. There was like 5 other girls who were in the show. Like I said, they filmed us everywhere at my parents' house, on the street. We threw a concert. We did a dance. Like, it was freaking awesome. And they filmed the whole season, and then at the end of it, they just decided not to air it. And again, it was one of those moments where I was like, oh my God, my heart, I'm just crushed. You know, they couldn't tell me why. They were like, you know, these things happen, and it's just not, we're not going to do, even though they swore, like, I literally could have been just a character on Love and Hip Hop. I wouldn't have been like the lead. I would have been one of the girls on, I literally could have done that. And they had said like, no, like I chose MTV. And so that was so devastating, because I was like, oh my God, like I literally could have already like easily just been on this other show, but I took a shot and now I lost it. And I was like, screw the entertainment industry. I can't do this anymore. And I shut down the blog. And at first it was a joke. I told the girls, I was like, let's just pretend we're shutting down. I need a break, and let's just scare all our fans. And so we had this whole campaign, Strawberry Blunt is shutting down, the sorority of hip hop is breaking up. And then the girls were like, all right, it's time to start back up. And I was like, I don't want to. And a lot of the girls like hated me. A lot of the girls I stayed friends with, but a lot of the girls like really didn't understand. And for me, I was like, listen, I'm 26, 27. I don't remember exactly how old I was. I was like, I feel like the weight of the world is on my shoulders, like with these 50 girls that like want to be famous, and like, it's all banked on me. And I feel broke still. And, you know, it was a lot of mouths to feed.
Yeah.
And so I just felt like I needed to do it on my own. And so I just went back to school. I decided I was going to go get my MBA, and I shut it down. And I thought it was time to be normal. I thought I would never get back on a mic. And I went into corporate. I worked at Hewlett Packard, and I got promoted very quickly because I was such like an entrepreneur, and I was so tech savvy with all the stuff I did with my blog and hacking social. I just got promoted and promoted. I was the face of the young employees there. And 4 years into it is when I decided to start Young and Profiting Podcast. And here we are today.
Yeah.
Well, you got your voice back. That's for sure.
And you're back on. So now, Young Employee Network, is that part of your work at HP then, or is that something different?
Yes.
Okay.
So funny story. That's the reason why I started Young and Profiting Podcast is because I didn't get a promotion that I wanted within the Young Employee Network. So I was the president of the Young Employee Network at my office. It's like an employee resource group. They have a global Young Employee Network, and I had created this thing that was called HP Spirit Week, and it was a global week-long event all around the world, and I had invented it. They still do it till this day. And I was supposed to be the president of the Young Employee Network globally, and they gave it to somebody else who had no experience. And so I was like, screw it. I'm not doing this again. I'm starting my own thing, and it's called Young and Profiting Podcast.
You know, I just had an interview with Mark MK, and he said sometimes if they won't hire you, you just need to hire yourself. You just need to hire yourself. So I love that. So guys, this has been an amazing journey so far. We've got to hear
so
about
much more,
all the rejection, all of the thank God for those unanswered prayers, by the way.
Seriously.
You know, and I've gone through a lot of that kind of stuff in my life too. And I think about every time I was shut down, it always led to a greater opportunity. Yep. So I just love that.
Why do you think they say hindsight's 20/20?
Yeah.
Exactly.
But when we come back, guys, I don't want you to go anywhere. When we come back, we're going to hear all about the Young and Profiting Podcast and how we can help you to take your podcast to the next level. So don't go anywhere. We got to go to a quick break. We'll be right back.
If anyone is out there and you're a realtor or you are looking to get your real estate license, it's a very low cost entry, $300 to take your real estate course online. Inexpensive compared to like a college. EXP is $150 to join, and it's like $84 a month. So relatively speaking, these are very inexpensive costs. If you are interested in that and you want to work with me as a realtor, I'd love to have you join my team, and you want to hear about the model, then go to join10xempire.com, and I do this opportunity call every Tuesday. Would love to answer your questions and tell you more about what I'm doing. If anyone out there is interested in working with me.
Imagine coming together in a room with hundreds or 1,000 people who are all either seeking a relationship with Jesus Christ or living out their faith or wanting to live it out more boldly at work. And we all come together and we encourage one another to be real. Every year we bring all these leaders together from the DFW technology community, and we allow a place where it's safe to talk about your faith in Christ. What we want you to do is we want you to get inspired to go back and live it out at work boldly. And we also want to provide a safe place for those who don't know Jesus to understand more about him and to start them to seek a faith with Christ on their own.
Many of you are, in transition and looking for your next opportunity, and so we believe that having faith is a big part of that, and it's, something that helps keep us going and drives us to perform and do better.
Hi, I'm Karen Bukowski, and this is my first LinkedIn video. I lift up teams by giving them support, knowledge, and tools to set them up for success. I'm a results-oriented professional with over 15 years of live event project planning, having done over 2,000 meetings and events. I have a gift for business development, retention, and stakeholder relations. I have a command of budgeting, forecasting, and contracting. I led a customer service sales team to surpass their quarterly goals by 10%. They say sometimes working with teams, especially distributed teams, is much like herding cats. I am also skilled in juggling multiple projects simultaneously. If you think there are any professionals or companies that I should network with, please tag them in the comments below. Thank you, and have a beautiful day.
Welcome back to the Who You Know Job Networking Show, where what you know is important, but who you know?
Who you know, it can make all the difference in your job search.
Guys, we're back with Hala Taha, and we're super excited. We're going to be talking about the Young and Profiting podcast. All right, so Hala, I want to know, what's your most memorable episode on the podcast?
Ooh, I love that question. So I think my most memorable episode would have to be episode number 43 and 44 with Robert Greene. It was a 2-part episode. It was one of my first episodes that really went viral, and I got a lot of new fans from that show. And I think that was a turning point in the show's success. So I would say episode number 43 and 44 was great. But I really feel like from the start, I had awesome content. So like episode 5 was awesome. I had David Allen on and my business partner, Tim. It's like so funny to listen back to that episode of like how like new we were and kind of inexperienced. So it's just been an awesome journey.
Man, that's great that you remember that, because I mean, it's like, hey, what about episode 12?
Do I know who was episode 12? No, I don't remember who was episode 12.
I think I've memorized at least up to like episode 30.
Wow.
Yeah, that's great. That's pretty good. Well, okay, so you said it went viral. So what do you think was in that episode that helped it to go viral?
I think I just prepped so much, and he was such a big guest that didn't go on podcasts very often. And I just prepped so good, and it was just such a good flow, and it was really long, and he's kind of like this god to people in the human behavior world. So I did a good job, and he did a really good job. So I think that's why it took off.
So just good, solid content, really.
Yeah, just like two solid hours of content.
Why podcast? Like, you're getting started and you're blogging, right? And was it just podcast was the natural next step, or was it something
well,
that
I
drew you
had
to
radio
that?
experience, remember? And when I had the sorority of hip hop, actually, we used to do online radio shows, which are the precursor of podcasts. You'd actually go to a physical studio, and online you'd be like, listen in 2:30 p.m. I'm going to be on dtfradio.com. And people would go to this website and watch you live. And then the videos would stay on the website, like embedded, or they would like go on YouTube or something. So it was like the precursor to podcasts. And then, you know, I missed the whole initial. If I had started podcasts like when Jordan Harbinger did, or like, you know, 10 years ago, I started my podcast just 3.5 years ago, right? If I had started it 10 years ago, when a lot of these really huge podcasters did, I always wonder, like, man, like, where would we be now? But podcasting was like really weird. Like, there wasn't a lot of platforms. It wasn't easy. It's like turnkey now. You don't need to be technical. You used to need to be really technical. And to me, that scared me. And so I never did podcasts. But then I realized that it was a little bit easier to figure out, even though it's not as turnkey. It wasn't as turnkey as it is today. And so I was just like, let me just do this. I have everything I need to figure this out. I'm just going to go for it.
I love that. So what we're going to do is we're going to talk about some key tips, right?
Okay.
Because what we're trying to do is help our audience, these job seekers. We're trying to help them to get online as well, become visible, to market themselves, to open opportunities, networking, all kinds of different things can happen, as you know, with podcasting. So that's the goal. I want to get these job seekers out of their comfort zone and get them online and on the airwaves. So let's talk about some tips. What do you think about equipment for a beginner? Okay, like I'm a beginner. I don't got nothing. I ain't got one of these fancy mics and cameras and lights and all that. What do I do to get started?
The basics.
Okay, you need a laptop.
Okay.
Okay.
Check.
I would suggest that you get a mic.
Okay.
And any sort of headphones. So if you look at me, I have nothing fancy. It's just so these are iPhone headphones with like the old wire that you can stick in your mic. And it needs to be wired. Don't do AirPods. Just do like any old iPhone headphones that you have. Audio Technica has a $80 mic. It's really good. Go for that. And that's all you need. Your Audio Technica, a laptop, and headphones. You might want to get Zoom. It's $25 a month, but you could also get Riverside. It's $25 a month, and that's made for podcasters.
Is that online, like an online soundboard?
It's like Zoom where it will record. You can invite people. You get video, audio, but it's HD video, HD audio, 2 tracks, made for podcasters, and it's the same price as Zoom. It's $25 a month. They're both $25 a month.
What about Restream? Because I've recently
Restream.
I've been invited on Riverside a couple times, but I use Restream. We use Restream and Vmix. Talk to me about that. What do you think about Restream?
I think Restream is amazing, and actually Restream sponsors me. I use Restream for all my lives.
Okay.
And I use Riverside.fm for anything that's pre-recorded. So that's kind of how I break it up. I think Restream is best in class for lives, and Riverside.fm is best in class for pre-recorded podcasts.
Riverside.fm. Okay.
Would you recommend, is your podcast, do you record it live or do you pre-record, edit?
I do different formats. So mostly my proper episodes are pre-recorded. I do them one-on-one, just me and the guest, super focused, take it really seriously. And then I do Clubhouse live events where I record panels on Clubhouse once in a while. I'll like invite a couple guests that have been on my show. And then if they have a similar topic, I love to like hear them converse and discuss. It's usually really interesting because they go deeper because they're both experts. And I kind of just moderate it. And so I do Clubhouse Lives, which are sort of winding down because the app is winding down, to be honest. And I do LinkedIn Lives that Restream actually sponsors. So I just had Jasmine Starr on a live episode. And then we promote it the same way as we do our regular podcast, but there's just that extra live element. I prefer, especially if it's not like a marketing topic, or like if it's a marketing topic or something I'm really good at, it's really easy to just be live. But when it's like a really deep topic that I'm not an expert on, I really like to just be focused and have it be me and the guest.
That's a good point, right?
Is it affordable? Like you said, Zoom is like what, 20? It's a subscription, right? So you pay a month
for Restream.
Yeah, for Restream.
Yeah.
Restream you can get a free account, right? Yeah.
I think it's free. Yeah, I think up to a certain amount is free. I actually have a promo code, so if anybody wants to reach out to me, I'll give you the promo code afterwards or something.
There you go.
Yeah.
What about like editors? So Trevor has a Rodecaster, right? Rodecaster Pro.
Yeah.
And so I've got a mic and everything, and I'm looking at it, I'm like, I'm about to get one. Do you really need one?
No. I should have been more clear.
Zoom, right?
Just a USB mic.
Just a USB mic.
I still use a USB mic. This is a USB mic.
Yeah.
I have both, but this is actually a dual XLR. So it's like there's this thick one is an XLR. This little one is a USB.
Okay.
And right now I'm just using the USB. It's just plugged into my computer. And then you're plug and play. Then you can travel around. I remember when I started the podcast while I was still working in a corporate, and I would bring my mic on the train with me and then plug it in during lunch into like I'd be like in a little phone booth doing my interviews. And it's really compact to travel with too.
Yeah, so you don't need a lot to get started, and I think that's the key point we're trying to drive home is that anybody can do this.
Yeah.
You can get a free Restream account, you could get a Riverside, Zoom, this is stuff that you should be familiar with. Get online, get out there, become visible, and start interviewing employees at the companies that you want to work for. Just go start
That's a great idea.
Yeah, go just start featuring them. Say, hey, you're in HR. I'm in HR. I'd love to feature your expertise. I'd love to talk to you about that. And these are people that probably have never been offered to be on any kind of podcast, and they're going to feel special. They're going to be like, oh my gosh.
Podcasting is great because it gives you an opportunity to talk to people who would otherwise not want to talk to you. A lot of people try to DM people and be like, hey, I'd love to take you out to coffee.
Right.
And these people are really busy. They're like, I can't afford to take 30 minutes to go to coffee with you. But if you tell them, hey, I want to scale your conversation to my 100 friends.
Ooh.
Then they might come on your podcast.
Say that again. Say it again.
I'd like to scale this conversation with 100 of my friends.
There we go.
Yeah,
there's a mic drop.
Oh man. So we've got low barrier of entry, right? From a cost perspective and equipment perspective. The concept or the theme of the podcast or, the segments can be up to them. But like you said, I mean, there's a lot of tools out there now that are turnkey and it makes it so easy. What can you do to set yourself apart? Like, how do you set your podcast apart?
I think the main thing is to not just copy what all other podcasters are doing. The way to stand out is to be different. So go look at your niche. If it's HR, go see, is there a daily show? Is there a 2-minute show? Is there a 10-minute show? Is there a show that has could you do a different format? Just try to be innovative. There's a million interview podcasts out there. Maybe you're different because yours are really short, or you provide definitions or something in the beginning and make it really educational. Whatever it is, I would just try to stand out. And then I would also realize that it's not about actually how many people listen to your podcast. There's other ways to make it work for you. Like, for example, we're talking about networking. Just interviewing people that would not talk to you otherwise is great experience, regardless of how many people actually listen to the episode. It makes you more personable, makes you more confident. Next time you're at a networking event, you're not going to be shy because you're used to talking to strangers. You know how to keep a conversation. It just makes you better in general, better presenter, better public speaker, all of that, right? So it just helps you level up your skills. Also, if you have a business, your guests can actually be your clients. So that's actually how I first started to monetize my podcast. Yeah. I was interviewing CEOs, celebrities, best-selling authors, and they would always ask me, who does your marketing? And I didn't have a marketing agency, but once I had a marketing agency, when people would ask me that question, I'd be like, oh, we offer this as a service. And then most of my clients were actually guests on my show. And that's how I got a lot of my clients for Yap Media. So if you're smart, you might think about, what is a business that I can have where my ideal clients are actually my guests?
100%. That's exactly right. All right, let's talk about some other ways to get more views, though. Right? Let's talk about what about titles, reviews? What are some different things that you've been doing? What's that consistent thing that you've been doing that has helped you to get more views?
Consistency. So make sure that you actually drop at least 4 episodes a month. So once a week, twice a week is even better. So making sure that you're consistently dropping new episodes, making sure that you're asking people to subscribe. The big driver of people listening is push notifications. So when they subscribe to your app, they get a push every time you drop a new episode usually. So if they don't subscribe, they don't get that push and you won't get as many listens. So you really want to drive people subscribing. DMs on social media. So you might have micro content videos that you put out on, let's say, LinkedIn or Instagram. Anybody who likes or comments is basically raising their hand and saying, I'm interested in this content. But they may not go by themselves and find the link. They may not go click on your call to action or read the caption. So you've got to do the legwork for them. You can DM them and say, hey, I noticed that you liked my post. If you want to listen to the full episode, here's the link. And you just give them the link. So that's probably how I got my first 10,000 subscribers. I would just retarget people on LinkedIn. Anybody who liked my content, I would then say, here's the link to my podcast, and got those subscribers that way.
Yeah, that's awesome. So if they're liking your content,
SEO retargeting, but it's manual. It's manual SEO retargeting.
Yeah, you can use automation tools. They have automation tools that support that too.
Oh, really? Dang, I thought LinkedIn was like, get off that. They don't like the automation.
No, they don't
stuff.
like that. I don't recommend it, but they have them.
Okay. Yeah, I know they're out there for LinkedIn. I've just been so scared to touch them because I've been in LinkedIn jail like 3 times.
Man, I did it manually. Like, if I can do it, you can do it. You can just copy paste. It's like, no, it's not that bad.
Well, that's one of the ways.
I used to do it on the train. That's what I used to just be bored on the train, copy paste in DMs.
That was one of the ways that I got put in LinkedIn jail. It wasn't in the DMs, but it was similar to what you were doing. So if they liked my content and they were a second connection, so I'm not connected to them, I would reach out and say, hey, thanks for liking my content. You know, I'd like to connect or something like that.
Yeah, that's great.
Well, but they shut me down for that. They were like, you're sending out too many connection requests. Too many people said, I don't know this person. Anyway, it was a long story.
Man. So you know what? There's some limitations.
Yeah.
So I think now it's like 70 invites a week. It used to be like 250 a day. They like really locked it down. It's like 70 a week you can send.
Yeah.
There's actually a way to check how many invites you're allowed to send that on your, like if you go into settings, you can check how many invites you're allowed to send that day. You get like credits.
Well, here's a new thing.
Hence the power of events.
Well, yeah, this is a new thing. So these LinkedIn live events, okay, which we have one going right now, but we're not actually live on it, which is interesting. But anyways, so the LinkedIn live events now are pretty cool because like you, Hala, you could invite your network. I can invite my network. Mark can invite anybody that accepts can invite their network to it. So now you get these large event pages where everybody accepts. And because everybody's on there, LinkedIn allows you, there's a tab now that says networking. And that tab, they can go and they can actually message and DM people that are second and third connections, you know, which is so powerful, right? Like you can actually message those people. Yeah.
In the event?
In the event page. Yeah, there's a networking tab. Like LinkedIn actually put a networking tab. And
but that's only if second and third connections find your event and sign up for it?
Yes. So if like, if I'm attending the event and you're attending the event, but we're not connected, I can still message you now because we're both attending the event. And so I could say, hey, Hala, I noticed you're attending the event, you know, excited to see you there, you know, something like that. And just, you know, break the ice and get your attention that way. So it's really cool feature. They just did that very recently. So excited about that. What about monetizing? Okay. So monetizing, like, I know you do really well with that. You got sponsors and all this kind of stuff. What are different ways that you can monetize a podcast and get a little bit of this cash flow?
Okay, so number one, like I mentioned previously, targeting your guests for your business. So using it as a lead generation tool for your business through your guests.
Okay.
You can also promote your products and services on your podcast as commercials. So instead of doing a sponsor read, you can actually do, like, if you have a course or if you have an ebook or something that you're personally selling, or like t-shirts, you can do your own commercials on your podcast to solicit for that. In the beginning, when you don't have a lot of downloads, you can do an affiliate sponsorship. So there's things like Audible, Fiverr, lots of different platforms offer affiliate marketing opportunities, and you don't really need to have a ton of downloads for that. So like, for example, from the beginning, I was like sponsored by Audible, but in reality, I was an affiliate partner, but I got to say, like, this podcast is sponsored by Audible, and it made me sound bigger than I was. And, you know, people were like perking up their ears. Oh my God, she's sponsored by Audible, but I was just an Audible partner. And so, you know, you get $15 every time somebody signs up for a free trial. And so I was pushing Audible trials in the beginning. So that's another way. Then there's sponsorships. So once your podcast, let's say, reaches 5,000 downloads an episode, some platforms require that it's 15,000 downloads an episode. Every agency or platform is different. You can start getting sponsors for your show. And the way that it works in the podcast world is that you get a certain amount of money for every 1,000 downloads. So the range is usually $15 to like $45. So for example, I get $35 for every 1,000 downloads that I get per episode. And then you can layer in commercials. So you can maybe have 2 or 3 mid-roll commercials, which are in the middle of your podcast, maybe 1 in the beginning, 1 at the end. It's really up to you. You can have as many commercials as you want. I do just 1 in the beginning and 2 in the middle. And then you would coordinate with the ad agencies or sell direct. If you sell direct, there's some more opportunities because you don't have to give a cut to any of the ad agencies. And you can layer in things like social media or doing emails or any other type of value that you can bundle in. And then you're not locked into the whole CPM route. When you do CPM, it's an industry standard and you're stuck to those rules. When you do a direct sponsorship, you can kind of create whatever you want and there's no rules.
That's awesome. Yep. See, that's something we haven't really explored. As I mentioned before, we started this back in 2018 and we started the show, and it's always been live streaming, and we've been on the podcast channels, but that was an afterthought. That was just because
I was like, yeah, we should be on there.
Yeah, we'll just throw it on there, right? Yeah. And then I went back and I was like, let me hire somebody to edit the audio and clean it up and actually go back and do this. So now I'm like thinking, okay, we need to focus on this stuff. So the download thing, see, that's always been the part that's kind of confused me a little bit because I don't really listen to podcasts either. I'm not like a type of person that will get on my phone and listen to a podcast. Why would someone download an episode when I can just go to the thing and scroll and pick out whichever one I want? Yeah. Why would I download it?
I think you're just getting the words confused. Oh. Anything that's over a minute listen is a download.
Oh. So if they listen to it for over a minute, it's a download.
Yeah.
So you don't know what you don't know. I learned something today.
Right. And that's where the CPM comes in.
It's like short time. It's either 30 seconds or a minute. Don't quote me on that. But it's like if they listen for a certain amount, then it's an IAB download.
Okay.
If it's on an IAB certified
Is that
platform.
where the CPM comes in?
Yeah. So it's like anybody who listens to your podcast for even a little bit counts as a download. Now, the caveat to this is that podcasters are getting away with, okay, let's say I get 50,000 downloads an episode. Okay. And maybe only 25,000 people end up listening to my commercial. But right now, podcasting is so new that like the advertisers don't know that it's really maybe only 25,000 people listened and not 50,000, but they're paying us for 50,000. Now the industry is like catching up where they're starting to figure out how to track the actual commercial listens, and that's becoming more important. But that's very advanced. We don't need to get into that.
Well, what about like, okay, so there's all these different podcast channels, you know, you got Apple and Google and Spotify and Pandora and you name it. There's a whole bunch of them. So when you look at that and you're going to a potential sponsor, do you combine your downloads do you say like, hey, I got all these downloads from all these channels, let me combine them all and this is like what I get per episode, or how does that work?
Well, the sponsors only care about IAB certified platforms, and that's going to be what's registered in your hosting provider. So when you start a podcast, this is something we didn't mention in the beginning. In addition to all of your hardware, you need a hosting platform that's actually going to distribute your podcast to Apple, Spotify, Castbox, Podbean, all these different apps, right?
Is that like SoundCloud or something like that?
SoundCloud is not an IAB certified platform. So SoundCloud and YouTube are not IAB certified. So there's certain podcast channels that are IAB certified. The main ones are Apple, Spotify, Google Play, Castbox. Then there's
Spreaker?
like Podcast Addict, and there's there's like 70 of them. Okay. So there's a lot of them.
You should
be on all of them if you want to really take it seriously.
Okay.
Do you know anything about Spreaker? That's what this studio uses. They use Spreaker
That's a hosting provider, I think. Yeah.
Oh, okay. See, I don't know nothing about this stuff. Yeah. I just pay these guys and they do stuff. I'm like, just put the cameras on. Make us look good.
See, we got to get our downloads up there.
But I got to get downloads.
We got to get them 11 million downloads like Joe Rogan.
How to count your downloads is not a good sign.
No, I don't know this stuff. I'm like,
because we haven't been podcasts. We've been.
I go like that. I go. Hey,
I'm just joking.
I go, hey, I pay you. You turn the cameras on, make me look good, and then we'll figure out later. But now I'm like thinking I need to pay more attention to this stuff.
Yeah, you got to figure out how many downloads you're getting to see if people are listening to your podcast, and you got to check all the platforms and see if your podcast is available and claim it if it's not. So we can talk offline about that, but you definitely need to know where your podcast lives and how many downloads you're getting.
Joe Rogan's getting 190 million a month.
Dang.
Downloads. Watch out, Joe Rogan.
Oh, okay. Mic drop. Well, Hala, this has been an amazing, amazing session. I mean, I really hope that these job seekers take us up on this. It doesn't take a lot to get online nowadays, and it's just another.
I will say one thing just to encourage everybody to do the podcast. My life has drastically improved for the better once I've never been more financially free. As soon as I started my podcast, I was so desirable by employers. I get inundated by people who want me to work at their companies because I've grown. It gave me an excuse to grow my personal brand. Without my podcast, I would have no personal brand, and it gave me an excuse to talk about something. And then I was an expert. Yep. Even though I was an expert in even though I was doing my podcast, people were like, oh, she's a marketing expert, right? Because that's who I was, and it helped me build my brand. So having a podcast is the number one thing that has helped me be like, I will never be out of a job because of the fact that I started this podcast.
Because you hired yourself.
Yep.
I hired myself, but even before that, I was working jobs while I was running my podcast, and I got a job at Disney because of my podcast. Like, it opened a lot of doors.
Dang, love that. Well, I know it has for me as well, doing this show, and I've had so many things just come out of nowhere because of visibility, like the opportunity. Because guys, it's not about just who you know, okay, right? It's actually who knows you. That's first. Who knows you? And podcasting is that visibility to get people to know you, right? So who knows you? Then it's who you know. Then it's what you know, in that order, okay? It's not just what you know, but it's who knows you, okay? Then who you know, then what you know, okay? In that order.
Awesome.
Hala, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Thank you for dealing with all the technical difficulties and all that.
This was so much fun. It ended up being such a great interview, so all good.
We made you cry too, so that was good.
You did. I don't know why I'm so emotional, but excuse that.
Yes. All right. Well, guys, that's the show. It's all about who you know.
Thanks, Hala.
Bye, guys. Thank you.
Bye. Trevor Houston here, and I want to thank you for tuning in to the Who You Know Job Networking Show. We hope you've been inspired, encouraged, educated, and entertained all at the same time. For information on our different events, workshops, partners, or partnership opportunities available, check out whoyouknow.show for more details. And be on the lookout for our new mobile app coming soon. You never know how this show could help someone you know. And if we've made an impact or put a smile on your face today, don't forget to hit that share button on your way out. Until next week, it's all about who you know. Bye.
Go, go, go. Yeah, 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 yeah.